and welcome back to my channel. Today I am going to be sharing with you my top 10 plants of 2023. The plants that have grown the best for me, have just been solid troopers, have maybe given me flowers, or just in general I have learned about and feel like I've really succeeded in. Before I do get into it though, I want to say, if you're new here and you don't know me already, hi, my name is Emma and I make houseplanty content all over the internet. So if you want to follow along with my houseplanty videos and maybe learn something along the way, stick around, watch more of my videos and subscribe to my channel. If you're not new here, thanks for coming back, I really appreciate it. Let's get into it. So I do want to say, these are in no particular order. I cannot possibly rank them 1 to 10. I genuinely don't think I can. And also, sorry if you can hear the rain, it is like properly storming outside right now. But yeah, I can't rank these because I do love them all for different reasons. So they're just my top 10, the ones that I couldn't possibly have a favorites list of 2023 without mentioning. So I guess we can start with this one. So this here is my Hoya Coroniana Flash. This one for me was so important this year because it gave me my first ever Hoya blooms. I'd never had a Hoya bloom before this past year. I've always thought they were really cool and wanted to like experience them for myself, just never really had Hoyas that did bloom until like one day I randomly saw that this one had peduncles on it and like smelled amazing, and oh my goodness, it was so much fun to watch this one bloom. And I was even able to make a time lapse of this one blooming, which I think is absolutely incredible. I have yet to make another one just because it's not been right timing wise on them, but I would love to make more Hoya bloom time lapses because they are so cool to watch. I love just like watching all the little stars go open. It's so freaking cute. Since that first bloom, it has proceeded to bloom loads and loads. I think I've done like 3 or 4 rounds of blooming this year, which is absolutely crazy because it bloomed not at all in the year prior. So I feel like that meant that it was actually happy and healthy. It didn't do that much like vertical growing, I don't believe, but I don't really mind because it did give me so many beautiful flowers, and I'm just like generally really proud of it. Since then I've had loads of other different Hoyas bloom, but this one was kind of like the first one, and oh, it's just it made my day. I almost cried when this one bloomed for the first time. It was fan-freaking-tastic. I feel like I've talked about that one a lot recently because it has been such a great plant for me this year. Next, I think I will talk about this one. So this here is a Fernleaf Cactus. I should also say, very sorry that all of these plants do have white spots on them. If you've been around for a minute, you'll know that they are sulfur fungicide spots because I'm treating all of the plants in my collection for pests. And in theory, I could have gone and washed all of these plants before this video, but then I would have just had to treat them again, and so it doesn't make much sense. And this is kind of just how I'm living with them right now. You can still enjoy the essence of them with them having spots on. You can just pretend that they're variegated. I'm pretending they're variegated for months at a time at the minute. But yeah, the Fernleaf Cactus. This was a wish list plant for me this year, and okay, we're gonna do this with Cleo. She's in my top 10 this year. So just sit down, baby. Just sit. This was a wishlist plant this year, and I was able to get it both in a propagation and in this big one, and literally every single moment I have had this plant, it has been phenomenal. It is just such an easy grower and it is so beautiful. I think it has grown quite a lot for me in the time I have had it. All of the bits that are a little bit lighter green are new. I've got this bit up here as well. And I'm hoping that it gets to the point where it trails down massively. I think it will. It's just not quite at that point. I think it also did have thrips this year. Ooh, there's gonna be thunder. There we go. This is what I'm dealing with today. It is what it is. But yeah, I'm hoping that one day I can get it to grow down long and trail. But for now, it just is what it is. Oh, I was talking about it had thrips. It did get some thrips at some point, but I feel like I haven't seen any on it since I treated it with the silver fungicide. So either it like really worked or they went away or something, but I feel like we're in a good place with it now, so I'm not too worried, and it's continuing to grow, so that is all I can ask for. I could have a million of this plant because I love it so freaking much. The Fernleaf Cactus, everyone. I recommend for literally anyone, get yourself a Fernleaf Cactus. This video would not be complete without this okay, Cleo's gone. This insane plant. This is my philodendron glorious. I don't think it is a surprise to anybody that this is on my list. It is an absolutely phenomenal plant. It has grown so well for me this year. It's literally impossible for me to accurately show you how well it's doing just because it is so big and sprawly. I'll try and find footage of what it looked like at the beginning of the year and how much it has grown since, but I have had to extend the moss pole once and then chop it back as well because it reached the top. So I just can't believe it has grown so well for me, and it has properly sized up too. Like when I got it, the biggest leaves were about this size, and now we're pushing twice as big. The newest leaf on it is this one here, and it's still not fully hardened off yet, and it's even putting out a new one since then. It is just such a cool plant, and I am constantly amazed by it. And it has been on my monthly favorites list several times throughout this year just because I have absolutely loved watching it grow. It has been such a fun time, and I think it is like a massive staple of my collection now. If I didn't have this plant, I don't think it would feel like my collection anymore. Up next, we have a succulent. I feel like this list would be incomplete without a succulent this year because I have done so much work when it comes to learning about them and figuring out how to keep them happy. And this is one of the ones that I got quite early on, and I'm pretty sure it's grown quite a lot this year. I feel like it's grown from about there. So all of that is new growth from this year, which I think is pretty phenomenal, seeing as I've never had a Euphoria before any years prior that have actually grown, and I was able to get this one to grow quite well for me this year. You can even see that there's new growth coming in still on it. It's phenomenal. I think having the Rudsta as a cactus cabinet has been an absolute game changer for me with these. And also keeping them in semi-hydro. Though this one itself is not in semi-hydro, semi-hydro for cacti and succulents has been really good for me. So I am tempted still to turn this one into a semi-hydro plant, but it's been absolutely fine in soil, and I feel like I've properly got a hang of it now, which is why it is on this list. Up next, we have this sprawling creature of a plant. I'll just hold it like this. It actually looks a lot better. Maybe I will make a tie for it after this video. But this is an Alocasia micheliciana, or an Alocasia frydek, it's sometimes called as well. And I love this plant. I've loved a lot of my Alocasias this year, but I have to say this one has been my favorite. It has been fairly hardy. I did notice spider mites on it earlier this year, but I treated it and it has been absolutely fine since. So it is quite a trooper. And also this one I did an experiment on this year. I had one of these stalks that, like, it had lost a bunch of leaves. It became kind of trunky. And I was thinking, can I propagate this? So I ended up chopping up the Mitchellisiana and putting that stalk into water, and it grew roots. So you can kind of propagate these ones from stem. Not this part of the stem, you can't just cut it here and expect it to grow roots, but if you're cutting it down here where you can see there are nodes and growth points, from there it can grow and grow roots. And this one has. So it has been on a really good journey, and I feel like it has taught me quite a lot throughout this year. And I mean, how can you not love these like almost cartoonish leaves? They're just so freaking perfect. They look slightly less perfect with the silver fungicide on them, but they're still perfect to me, and I just generally love Alocasia so much that I couldn't have my favorites of 2023 list without one of them on, and this one was it. Really? Up next, we have another plant that I got this year as a wish list plant. This is an antherium pallidiflorum. It has just been such a pleasure to watch grow, and I feel like it's getting me into strappy antheriums. I never used to really care about strappy antheriums. They didn't really do it for me until this one. Because it is velvety, I feel like it's kind of a good transition for me between the more velvety antheriums like the crystallinum and the regal and the strappy antheriums. But I feel like now I'd be much more open to giving strappier antheriums a try. I know mine still isn't huge. It's quite large here, but I have seen some where the straps are like a meter long, and like I really hope that I can get this one to grow to that point, because that would be amazing. And it is growing pretty freaking well. I have another new leaf in there, which is so good, and I really feel like it's expanding my horizons when it comes to antheriums and what I actually like in plants, because I never thought that I would like a plant like this until, ooh, okay, Cleo, until this year. And I'm so glad that I have it, and it makes me so happy. It's just so beautiful. I could stare at it all day. Okay, I'm gonna do this one because Cleo's trying to currently eat it. This thing is, it is my philodendron melilone. It was originally given to me as a fat boy, but it is in fact not a philodendron fat boy. I do have one now, and it's a different plant, but this one just still holds a huge place in my heart. It is one of my biggest plants with leaves like over 50 centimeters long. It's just massive, and it keeps putting out big, beautiful leaves. I'm normally not the biggest fan of like self-heading philodendrons, ones that kind of come out from the middle and don't climb up stuff. But with this one, oh, it is just phenomenal. It gives my home a really big sense of jungle vibes, and I feel like my home looks empty without it. This one also flowered this year. It was my first ever philodendron flower. I never expected any of my philodendrons to flower because I feel like it's much more of a rare thing. Not rare, but like uncommon. And this one produced a flower, which I actually thought was really beautiful. I mean, flowers like that aren't necessarily my cup of tea in general, but being able to watch this one grow a flower felt like really heartwarming to me, and I feel like it was because the plant is really happy and healthy. So it just made it such a fun experience this year, and I can't wait to see what comes through with this plant in the future, because I mean, maybe it'll give me more flowers, it'll probably give me more leaves. It's consistently pushed out leaves throughout the summer. It has also dropped some back, but it's been dropping off like the smaller-ish bottom ones. So I mean, I don't mind if I get to keep these like freaking huge leaves here. Another plant that I've absolutely loved growing this year is the monstera dubia. This plant has grown so much for me this year. I think I got this specific plant in March or April time. I got it in my plant point haul video, and it was actually about this size plus a little bit of top part on a plank. Because it was already on a plank, I wanted to keep it shingling. Obviously, I'm trying to grow it big and beautiful, so I put a moss pole on top, and from there I was just able to get it to grow quite well. I have since chopped it off of the bottom part, and it did get smaller in growth again, I think just because of the massive change that it went through, which is reasonable, but it is starting to grow and shingle again, which is really amazing. I think it is such a cool plant, and I'm hoping that I can get it to grow out of this sort of more juvenile phase. I love what it looks like in the juvenile phase, but if I could get it to grow big and fenestrate, that would also be really freaking cool. So maybe in 2024 I will get there. I should also mention that I do have another monstera dubia that I grew from a cutting, and it has finally in 2023 started shingling as well. It has gotten to the top of its moss pole, which is probably about this high, is now over the top of the pole, and I really need to do something about that. If anybody wants a top cutting of a monstera dubia that isn't technically shingling, let me know and I can make that happen for you. But yeah, I really feel like I have come into my own when it comes to growing monstera dubia this year, and I actually feel like I've got a handle on it. And it only took getting myself an actual plant one instead of just propagating. I highly recommend, if you are trying to grow a monstera dubia, if you can possibly help it, don't grow from propagation, because they are so difficult to get to actually grow from them. Just buy yourself a plant instead, because it just works so much better. Up next we have this guy. This is a peperomia frost, and this was one of the first peperomia that I have been able to grow and keep alive. I've kept this one alive all freaking year. What? I have never ever kept a peperomia alive for an entire year before. Ever. And I was able to grow this one from prop and keep it alive and get it to size up even just a little bit, which I am feeling so proud of. This is actually also one that's been on my favorites list several times throughout 2023. I think at least 3 or 4, just because I have felt like I've made so much progress with this one and peperomias in general. They're just so cool. I mean, what's not to love about this like shiny silvery blue plant? Nothing, in my opinion, other than I couldn't previously get them to grow well. I have also figured out how to get it to size up even just a little bit. For quite a while this year it was staying quite small and flat and actually going quite yellow. It was living on this shelf here, which surprisingly I think it was getting too much light. I don't quite understand, but ever since I moved it to underneath my TV where it's not getting any grow light, it's just kind of getting ambient medium to low light, it has grown so much better. I don't know if it is leggier or not, but it is growing less yellow and actually sized up in leaf size quite a bit. So I can't believe I've been able to get this one to actually start growing this year, and it's been one I've been really proud of myself for over the last 12 months. So yeah, there's no way I was going to have my favorites list without including this one on it. And then last but certainly not least, we have my antherium warquanum. This beautiful thing actually put out some new leaves for me this year. Okay. I'm pretty sure in 2022 it didn't give me a single new leaf. I got it in August of 2021 and it did nothing for all of 2022 until it finally sprouted a new leaf in 2023, which was so freaking exciting. When I got my first new leaf of my warquanum, I was elated. Unfortunately, it did get thrips soon after and also flat mites. That is the damage that is on the top of this leaf here. That stuff is flat mite damage. Unfortunately, So when I found that, I knew I had to treat my entire Millsbow cabinet for flat mites. But since I have done that, I have gotten another beautiful, literally pristine new leaf that is doing so well. Because like even then before, when this one grew out, it already had some damage on it. But this one doesn't have a single spot of damage, and it makes me so, so excited. Yeah. So excited, and I feel like I'm actually getting used to this one as well. I think part of the issue with this one was I wasn't necessarily watering it enough. Warquanums are extremely thirsty in my experience. This one wants water literally all of the time, and I didn't quite understand that before, but now that I have been watering it a whole lot more, I think it has liked that quite a bit. So I'm hoping that in 2024 I can continue to get this one to grow well, hopefully with undamaged leaves and hopefully without pests. It's definitely on my all-time favorites list, and it's definitely on my favorites list for 2023. So I feel like it is the perfect one to end on. So that is it. Those are my top 10 plants of 2023. I really hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up down below and leave a comment on your top 10 houseplants of 2023. Can you pick 10? It was hard to narrow down the list, but these were ones that I felt like were my favorites so frequently that they were just the best things for me in 2023. You can also comment any other houseplanty things you'd like me to talk about in the future. If I mentioned anything here that you want to know more about, I might have a video already, or if I don't, I can make that for you. So put a comment down below letting me know what it is, and I can hopefully make that happen for you. And also subscribe for more. Thank you all so much for watching and being here, and I will see you in the next one, won't we, baby? Yes, we will. Don't forget to keep growing. Bye!